All right, what's going on, guys? And today we're back in the garage with the new DRZ4SM. We're going to be messing around with it today, taking off some more stuff off the bike and removing some of the decals, like the warning labels and stuff. They're kind of common sense, so you don't really need them. And I think it looks cleaner without them, and also gives us a better canvas for putting on some new cool stickers. And we're also going to be removing the front reflectors. Hopefully that works out okay and looks flat underneath, so I can put a sticker over top of it. And we'll also be taking off some of the panels to kind of investigate, see what's underneath. So it'd be fun just to check out some of the things on the bike that I haven't looked at yet. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, starting off, we're going to take off the seat. Again, it's only 8mm bolts, so it should be just 2 of them. All right. After further investigation, the strap on the seat is actually part of what holds this down. So you actually have to remove both side panels to remove the seat. So for the right side of the bike, you have your bolts that traditionally hold a seat down. You have this front bolt, it's also an 8mm, and then you have this little push pin here. But you actually just get something sharp and push the center of it in. You can just come from the back side and push it out with your finger. We'll take that off. And that gives us access to the 3rd bolt for this side panel here. All right, so with this panel on, it does make it easy to access the rear shock adjustments. So you don't have to take the panel fully off, you just have to take this black panel off. But with the black panel off and this off, you gain access to the bolt for the strap on the seat. And we'll have to do this on the other side as well. Oop. But that bolt is a 10mm. All right, now that we got the strap loose, start taking apart the other side. All right, and moving over to the left side of the bike, you have to first grab your key and remove this black panel here. And underneath that, you have your 2 tools. You have a Phillips and flathead screwdriver and an 8 and a 10mm socket. You use the Phillips and flathead through the 8 and 10mm to use it as like a T-handle. So we'll put those back. And I also just put my registration and stuff in a plastic baggie and just keep it right here. That way I always have it with me and it's pretty easy to access. But that also gives us access to this 3rd 8mm bolt. So we'll go ahead and remove the rest of the bolts on this side. All right, so once I removed all the bolts, this panel did kind of want to stay on still. And it's because there's 2 pins. So located on the back side, like that, they're here and here. Yep, right there and right there. And they're just straight pins. So just pull straight out and you'll be okay. And they'll just come right out of the rubber grommets that hold it in, and you won't damage those pins. And this gives you access to the battery, as well as another storage area for paperwork and it looks like some of your electronics there. Other side of the air box. But now we have access to the other side of the strap. So now we can hopefully remove the seat. All right, let's see what's under the seat. Where does this thing suck air from? All right, well, I was just surprised that the snorkel's not up here. Usually there's like a hole with a little tube coming out where it gets air, but this is all the ECU stuff right here, so this is kind of shocked me. But I'm gonna actually keep the strap for the seat off because there still is 2 connection points. So there's one in the front that attaches to the gas tank right here, hooks into here, and then you have the 2 traditional mounting points in the back. So I'm gonna be rocking that. So I'm gonna put the seat back on without the strap. I think it always looks cleaner without the strap. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lose a little bit of weight with that. Let's take that off and just look at the air box. The snorkel is actually underneath the ECU. So you can see I actually went ahead and took off the screw for the door to gain access to the air box. So you can see the red laser. The snorkel is right there. So it's just underneath the ECU. Or the airbox lid is an access door that is removable via a Phillips head screw. All right, and you might notice I went ahead and put these 2 screws back in, and that's for the strap. We'll go ahead and start putting the panels back on. Also, I wanted to touch on, when reinstalling these, make sure you have the proper bolts for the location. So there's 2 different size bolts. So you can see one is longer than the other. And the longer bolt is going to be for the rear, where the 2 shorter bolts are going to be in the front. All right, you see I put the bolt on both sides, and I put those bolts back in just so the threads don't get rusty or get dirt in them or water and corrode. And again, same for this side. The 2 front bolts are short and the back bolt is long. All right, and to finish off the left side, we got to put this black panel back on. All you need is this black pin. What you need to do is actually do the opposite. So push the tab through the other way. Then you can see our little pin sticking out. And then you just got to push that in, and then it's good to go. Now, that's what the bike looks like without the strap on the seat. I think it looks better. Now let's see how those reflectors are. All right. And with any decal removal, as a detailer, heat's generally your friend. And again, I'm doing this to my bike so you don't have to do it to yours in case this screws up. I'm thinking it's just a adhesive to the back. So I'm hoping that applying heat, I can slowly pull this reflector off. I'm actually going to use some fishing string. This is only half the scary part. If it comes off, then I got to figure out what glue remover I can use to not screw up the plastic, because plastic is very sensitive to, like, say, Goo Gone or anything like that. So you definitely wouldn't want to use Goo Gone to remove the adhesive. Cool. Sweet. All right, well, testing out chemicals on the other side to remove the glue didn't work out so well. Super sensitive plastic. I even tried, wax. I'm gonna try a couple other things on this side, but I will show you how to restore the plastic if you do end up marring up the surface. But we'll go ahead and get this one off and try a couple other things just to see if we can find something that doesn't mar up the plastics here. To whatever chemicals you put on the bike, don't try to wax it. It'll actually end up dulling the finish. So you definitely don't want to apply any wax to the bike, even though it sounds like you're doing it a favor. It's actually not a good idea. Make sure you don't get the surface too hot too. That can be another issue that you run into. I know this heat gun pretty well, so I can kind of tell how much heat I can give it. But I would say this is definitely a trickier install, or a trickier mod than everything else so far, just based off of chemicals and just being careful. Not easy to apply the coating that I'm gonna show you at the end once I get this glue. Oh, might be okay on this side. All right, so this side came out a lot better. I used a little bit more heat, and I finally found what'll work for removing the adhesive. It's gonna be Plexus. So apply some Plexus to a rag and gently just apply it to the area that has adhesive left over. Do not rub it. That is the only thing that didn't dull the paint that I found. But since I've already dulled the other side and this side looks good, I want them both to match. So I'm going to show you how to restore plastic if you do in fact damage one of your pieces of trim. I used some of this Cerakote ceramic trim coat. This is the only thing I found that can semi-permanently fix plastics. I've had it on the Raptor 700s, the quads. When you take it off your quad off-road, it gets dull and looks terrible after 1 or 2 rides. So this is the only semi-permanent stuff that'll actually stay looking nice. So this will bring back the finish and actually make it a little bit more glossy than stock. All right, so we've already applied it to that side, and I didn't want this towelette to dry out because they dry out really fast. I put it in a baggie. So we're gonna go ahead and do this side, but you have one shot at this. So make sure you have full coverage and make sure that the finish is somewhat level, and then this coating will actually just level itself. So as long as you have full coverage, you'll be all right. And you want to make sure that the towelette is still wet, because if it's somewhat dry, it'll kind of smear. And you do want to use gloves because this stuff is super slick. So right now I'm just kind of making sure every surface is coated. Working kind of quickly because, like I said, this stuff does dry fast. And you kind of want to go in smooth, straight lines. That way it'll level easier. This stayed pretty wet because it was in the bag. But you definitely want to wait until you have both sides done before applying this, because the towel will definitely dry between doing both fenders. All right, so here's the side that I damaged. And you can't even tell because of the trim coat. Hides it really well. All right, last stickers on the bike that we're going to be removing. Same principles apply. I want to be careful too. Even here, just digging my fingernail can scratch the plastic, so I'm going to try and not dig my fingernail into it the best I can. And reapply heat just so it wants to stay together, because this sticker has clear film over top of it, no glue residue. And as you can see, you might not be able to see it, but the clear started to come off, so I'm going to try and move to a different edge to get it so I can get both the decal and the clear laminate over top, because the decal is a lot harder to remove with that clear laminate gone. All right, and like I said, I usually like to keep these specification stickers, but in this case, all it's telling me is the tire pressure with the front and rear tire size and what tire it is. Most of that information is redundant. I can just go look at the tire and go from there. But I kind of like to run my own PSI. I like 28 to 26 PSI, depending on the tire. I haven't run these tires, so probably keep with the stock recommendation of 29 PSI for the front and rear as a solo rider. For dual riding, so with a passenger, it says 29 front, 36 rear. That's really the only useful information I can see somebody liking to keep. But yeah, I think it makes the bike look a lot cleaner. All right, here's another look at the DRZ4SM without the reflectors. I think it looks so much better. I'm really happy with it. Tail end is all cleaned up. And remove the strap. I think it makes it look way sportier. All right, just messing around. I had to try out my motorcycle stand, and it fits perfect. With the 450, I got to use a block of wood because the 450 has higher ground clearance. But the MSR stand is like perfect for this bike. All right, and while I have the bike jacked up, I did want to talk about the front end, how wide it is. I think it is wider than the DRZ400, its predecessor. I think this is a lot wider in the front, or at least it looks like it is. And you can tell it's definitely not going to starve of air from the front for cooling. Those radiators get a bunch of air. I think it looks really cool. It gives the appearance of a bigger bike. All right, well, I think that's about it for tonight. Tinkering with the new DRZ4SM. Really happy with how the front reflectors came off. And definitely use Plexus if you are trying to remove any glue from the bike. And if you do end up damaging it, use that trim coat. And if you do use the trim coat, wait 24 hours before exposing that to any chemicals or any rain or water to let that fully cure. But yeah, I think it looks way cooler with that gone and all the warning labels off the back. I think it really cleans up the bike and makes it look really cool and unique. You know, make it stand out from the rest of the DRZs, even though this is like still one of the first ones in the States. So I think that's pretty cool. And a big shout out to Jason from Yamaha Louisville for getting us one of the first ones in the States. been really happy with it. We've picked up a bunch of bikes there in the past, or a bunch of toys there in the past. We've got the Yamaha Superjet from them, the Raptor 700, the new boat that I haven't shown on the channel yet. I'm trying to get that video out, but we got a lot of stuff breaking and trying to fix that all before the next trip that we go on in a couple days. So it's a lot of real hectic. So might have to wait till I get back from the trip to do the boat video. But at least I'm getting some videos on the new DRZ and really happy with it so far. I think it looks sweet. We'll get some stickers on it next go round, and also weigh all of the stuff that we've removed from the bike thus far. We've got a couple things on order that I wanted to touch on. We got the Yoshi pipe, and we just contacted them. They said that those won't be shipped until like August, or hopefully they start shipping those sooner. And we also have the Yoshi tail tidy, so to clean up the rear end. I think it'll look really clean. But those are two things that we'll definitely weigh before and after to see how much weight loss we have with those. But really happy with it so far. I think it's a beautiful bike, and I've got a lot of compliments on it, even just taking it home in the back of the truck. I've had like 3 or 4 people just say like how cool it looked, so it's pretty exciting new bike. It'll be fun to show it off at the small bore rally next week. I think that's about it for this video. Appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.